Hi, my name is Ashley, and welcome to another edition of A Spinner's World. You can find me online as Spun2Tight on Ravelry, Plurk, and Instagram, and I have a lot to talk about this week. We did not record last week. I did receive notification on the 7th from Blip that my podcast was going to be removed because I did not meet their standards, which we know in, business sense means that I wasn't making them enough money. AKA, I did not have enough views each week. So a lot of podcasts were relocated. So if you have some smaller podcasts, please make sure you check. If you haven't seen from them in a while, they may have had to resubmit feeds to iTunes. Some of them may have moved to YouTube. I know a lot have moved over to YouTube because it's free. I am on Hipcast, which does charge a fee each month, which, I have no problem paying because I do this podcast for me. So that's what I have started doing. My husband disagrees. He thinks I need to go to YouTube because it's free. So in order to appease him, even though he says he's okay with me paying for it, I know deep down he is very annoyed. So I put up a small little donate button on the blog. Do not feel obligated, but if you want to, it's there. I will probably never, ever, ever mention that again. I always said I wouldn't do a button, but since I'm paying now, I feel like maybe it's time. If you are one who, I don't like to donate to things, but if someone's selling something to raise funds for something, I am one who will jump on that bandwagon. Hello, proof right here. Girl Cave Bags was trying to get money to help her sick little kitty, and I ended up with 5 bags. Because, I may not, donate $25 to her, but I will buy several bags and spend far more than that. So if you are interested in things of the sort, if you're like me, I did put some hand spun in my Etsy shop. And that's over at spunsheepy, spunsheepy.etsy.com. And I will link that in the show notes. I linked it yesterday in the thread on Ravelry. Someone had asked if there was a thread to put things like, when they listed sales on Etsy, like stuff that was going up in their shop, if there was a location for that. And we didn't have one, so I had created one several months ago. And it's been pretty quiet. It is sticky at the top, and if ever I update Handspun, I will post in there myself. So if you're ever interested in what I'm posting, that's where to find it. I will probably not mention it on the podcast other than, hey look, I finished this yarn, and hey look, it's going to go on Etsy. That'll be the end of it. So if you want it, that's where to go. If you want to follow me over there, and you're welcome to. Other stuff. It's been 2 weeks since I recorded. I don't know if you can tell, I had this cold last week. I still have a bit of nasally stuff, so I apologize if I have to take frequent breaks to sneeze or breathe. Hopefully that won't happen. But last weekend was the Walterboro Fiber Fair. We had an actual little fiber show festival thing in South Carolina. Now this is just out of the Charleston area, about an hour outside of Charleston. I think it's an hour and a half from Columbia. Hour from Myrtle Beach about. And it was tiny, and I knew it would be. It was more farmer market size than actual, fiber show size. But it was nice. I was able to spend some money on some fiber. There were rabbits, 2 Angora breeders. There was all sorts of, spindles, hand spun, tons of hand spun. And I went just, to help out my guild. So I sat at the guild table all day. I had hand spun that I brought to show people what hand spun looked like. There was enough there that really I probably didn't need it. I sat, spun, talked to people, told them about the guild and all that fun stuff. So let's talk about what I got there first. I didn't get much. I was very restrained. But first things first, I ended up with 2 things of fiber. And these are both merino. I have this purpley, maybe not purpley, green, blue, and brown that I absolutely liked. I don't think it's superwash. It may be. I can't remember. I don't think it's superwash. But it came from a local farm to me. So they are here in, South Carolina. And I really liked it more for the fact that it was local. And she does dye these herself, I believe. And then I bought this other color, which is purples and golds and browns again. So I got 6 ounces of each. And I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with them. I have a feeling it may become a podcast prize, at least one of the colors. I may let the person pick who wins this month. If you're participating in our sock knit along, that may become a prize. I found the business card, yo. It's from R&K's Fur and Feathers. She has exotic birds and pedigree show rabbits. I did not know she had birds, and that makes me really excited, so now I may have to hunt her down. And oh my gosh, she lives in the next city. She literally is in the Charleston area. So, Somerville, South Carolina, that's where my knitting group meets. One of my friends was talking to her and said she knew who she was. She was a friend of hers. I didn't make the connection that, you know, she lived in Somerville. I probably should have. Of course, my friend that knew her also watches my podcast, so she's gonna be like, she's talking about me again. Hi! And I think she's the only one in my knit group that actually watches my podcast, but it's okay, because she's like my best friend in knit group. At least in my head she is. But that's that. It will probably become a podcast prize at some point. It'll probably become a podcast prize for the current spin along, let's be completely honest. But that's what I got there. I also got a spindle. This is a Tigerwood spindle from Pluff Mud Fibers. Doesn't have their name in it, but it's actually numbered. It's his 25th spindle. And he's pretty new to the whole fiber thing. This was made in 2013. And I don't know what his name is. I think it's Dale Fort. But the way the Tigerwood striped, it really looks like Dale Fart. But I'm pretty darn sure that's not his name. I'm going to show somebody else because he made his O look really funny. But this is from Pluff Mud Fiber, and I do have a bit of alpaca that I had spun on this. There is this alpaca farmer who's actually from North Myrtle Beach. Hear that, Mary Beth? She's up by you now. You got alpaca farms up there. And she actually gave me a small sample to try out. She wanted me to, you know, see how it was, and I am not an alpaca fan. I've spun some. It's nice, it's great, it's fabulous, but sometimes you get some rough fibers in there, and I've never really been a huge alpaca person, but this stuff is amazing. It's amazing. Like, I'm actually thinking about going and buying some amazing. And, you know, this is more for if you're interested. It's called Sunny Skies Alpaca, and they do a lot of breeding as well, and they are in North Myrtle Beach. It has Loris down as the city, Loris. But they have some fabulous stuff there, so I may totally go up and visit their farm. They told me I could. And I may have to go see baby alpacas, because they obviously have some because they're in the picture. And if they don't have any right now, they will have some in the future. So Mary Beth, I may come hang out in your area and we may have to go visit alpacas. Okay? I'm just saying. But that is literally all I got at the festival. Although I did not buy this, this came home with me. One of the ladies in my guild was actually the one that I worked with at the guild table all day. And she came up to me halfway through the day and said, there is this shawl I really want to knit. Can you help me pick out the perfect, you know, fiber for it? And so we went and looked at fiber. Now the shawl she wanted was it's a very basic kind of shawl. It looks a lot like Age of Brass and Steam. And it may have been something that, you know, they modified. It was a shawl that was for sale. It's just like Age of Brass and Steam, except there is an eyelet row down the middle and along the edges to make the border. Other than that, it was identical. But she really loved that shawl, and she really wanted it, and she wanted it white, and she wanted, you know, they had some fringe along the edge that they made from locks that they had, you know, either woven in when they knit it or, you know, spun up like that. But she really wanted that shawl. And she doesn't spin. And so she asked me, we talked about prices for hand spun and commission spinning, and she decided she wanted me to spin her some stuff, so it came home with me. And there are bits of color which you can't see because the light is totally like drowning it out. But there's bits of red, bits of blue that were dyed in. Like I said, it's not showing up. see if it goes this way. You can see a bit of the color like down in there. Ah, there's some red. Obviously it's not showing up. It's a little bit of muted color, but it's nothing major. It's mostly white, so it'll spin up to where, yeah, see that? How it's like got bits of dyed in it. She literally bought everything the woman had. And she's a blogger, so she's super excited about having pictures of it to show everybody on the internet. Oh, here it is. Here's the cards. Again, it's from the same dyer. It's from the lady in Somerville, and this is a 50%, 50-50 blend of Angora and Merino. 50-50 blend. And there are 6 ounces here. So, she's gonna have a 6-ounce, you know, yarn for a shawl, and I am sure she's gonna love it. So that is my commission spinning I'm gonna be working on. So you will see that again, no doubt. Probably very soon, because my goal is to get it done, get it out, and maybe use some of the money I make off that to help with the whole podcast charge thing. And that's all that's festival related. Now, while at the festival, I said I had done some spinning, and in case you have forgotten, this was the project on the wheel. I was working on my Autumn Harvest Gradient from Fiber Optic Yarns. It was 80/20 merino silk. It was to die for. And I've mentioned how much I loved it, how it was spinning so thin, and it was kind of a lace weight, but it was okay, because when I 3-plied it, I was totally going to get a sock weight. I spun the last third of the first 2 ounces while I was at the fiber show. So it took me all day to spin that last, you know, 2/3 of an ounce. 3/2 of an ounce. 2/3-ish, whatever. So it took me, you know, a day to spin that. And I kept, you know, plying it over and holding it, 3-plied in my hands, and I'm like, that's a sock weight, that's a sock weight. Now, I wasn't like twisting it to see if when I actually plied it and added some more twist, if it would still be sock weight. And deep down, I kind of knew it seemed a little thin for sock weight, but maybe it would be a light fingering weight instead of a heavier fingering weight. Came home from the festival, plied it up. It took forever. Forever. And I knew when I was doing it that it looked really, really thin. But I mean, what was I gonna do? I kept going and said, well, if it's too thin, I'll make a shawl. It'll be okay. Maybe it'll work for sock. Maybe it just looks thin. Maybe it'll bloom. Maybe. I had really high hopes. The next morning I wound it off, and it took quite a while to wind. And this is what it looks like. And I mean, no lie, it's stunning. I love this. I love the way all the colors Barbara pulled together. These colors are very accurate. And it reminds me so much of fall. I absolutely adore this. First 2 ounces. I have 300 yards. Now, as much as I'm like, yay, pat myself on the back, go me, 300 yards, 2 ounces, woohoo. At the same time, I'm going, no. There's no way these are going to be my socks I wanted. So there's going to be no fall harvest Semke socks for me this fall. So I've got the other 2 ounces to spin, and I am on a mission to see if I can finish this mid-November. And I've decided it's going to become a Semele, S-E-M-E-L-E. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. But it's the pattern that Wendy of Knit One Heart 2 is knitting right now. It's the shawl that has the leaves along the borders, and you knit half of it, and when you get to about half your yarn left, you decrease. So it'll use up all my yarn. It will be awesome in the fall colors. It will kind of gradiate, and it will still have leaves, so it will still be beautiful. It might actually be a more appropriate use for the yarn because I'll have it around my neck instead of on my feet in my shoes. And these are too pretty to put in my shoes and hide away. So I'll survive. 300 yards, 2 ounces, and I'm going to hope to get this other half spun up ASAP. But then here's my dilemma. This was for the current knit along. Now I'm gonna have to start something else, because I want to spin yarn for the socks this month. So that's gonna be my first mission. It's like, do I finish this and then start the new socks? Or do I start the new socks then finish this later? I have 3 works in progress right now on my wheel. I don't want to start something new. But I need to. Like, I feel like I need to. Or do I finish the blue stuff that I had on my wheel and then like 5-ply it to get sock yarn? That's a definite possibility. I think I might do that, honestly. I'll ply it and then cable ply it and make socks out of the peacock yarn. And in fact, the peacock yarn and the fall leaves kind of look like feathers. I may be able to make that work. It's a possibility. I'm about to think about that. But I have a feeling I'm just going to spin something different. Although, you know what? I have some yarn up here that I think would actually work out really well. I may use that instead and just knit socks out of hand spun. Because there's no way I'm going to get that finished in time. Let's be honest. No way. So, that's that. That's all the spinning. I have not started anything since I took that off the wheel because it's been a rough week. With the cold, I come home at night and I just want to sit down and knit. I don't want to do anything else. And so what I've been knitting, well, first things first, I actually finished something. Like, seriously, I actually finished something. Miss Winkle is done. Now, this isn't for me, this is for my little sister. Her birthday is in 2 days. And as you can see, I still have it here. I have not blocked it. I'm probably not going to block it. It's garter. They say you should block it so these little things pop out, but I really don't care, and I don't think she's going to care much either. She's going to be thrilled that there's little ruffly edges that are like kind of awesome and weird to think about. So she'll like this. It's her colors. She told me years ago she wanted this yarn, even though she doesn't knit. So I know she'll like it. So shawl for her. I'm sending her some Wolf Farms lip gloss with it because she likes candy corn a lot. A lot. So I'm going to send her the candy corn lip gloss from Wolf Farms. I'm keeping the other one for myself, even though I don't really like candy corn. I like the taste of it, but I don't like that it makes my teeth feel gross. That's my issue with candy corn. That's my issue with most candy. So Miss Winkle is done. That was finished on the 7th. AKA the day that I found out that my podcast was thrown off blip. So this is going to a new home. And after I finished that, I was feeling really lazy because, you know, I didn't want to go up and get my wheel out. I didn't want to get my other wheel, and, you know, my fiber was still upstairs from the last time I recorded, and my wheel was downstairs. And I didn't want to go upstairs to get the bobbin and the flyer, then to go back downstairs and put it on the wheel. So I just knit all week. Yep. I've been working on my Cold Mountain. The ball is shrinking. And this, I got a ton of lace done because of my laziness. How bad is that? When I get tons of lace done because I don't want to get the other projects out and they're upstairs in the my computer area. Look how much I got done. I had maybe a full diamond. No, I had half of a diamond done last time when I showed you. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am on the 6th diamond. So I am on the 6th repeat of the first 30 rows. And then I have to change stitches and go into the middle third of the shawl. I'm almost a third of the way through this shawl in a week and a half. Now, this is a guild knit along for my knitting guild that meets in Somerville. And it's not supposed to be done till like February, so because I am so far ahead, being the overachiever that I am, I'm putting this away for a while. Nothing wrong with that, right? Now that I have all these awesome knitting bags, I can, you know, do this. So this isn't so much of a work in progress hibernation as I'm knitting it way too fast, so I'm going to save it for guild meetings. Oh, hubby's home. Hope you didn't hear the alarm, and if not, you'll probably hear it later. So because I put that away, I got out my shawl for Sock Bunny. Sock Bunny's Knit and Fit podcast. She is doing a knit along for her half pie bee leaf shawl. I think this ends in November. I am not 100% sure, so please don't hold me to that. I am on to this leafy pattern piece here at the bottom. So this has been my primary knitting for the end of the week. And I'm almost done with a full repeat of that chart. So it's coming along. If I had to do it again, I would definitely put beads in, but I think I've told you that before. This yarn is another Crafty Girl. She does not sell yarn anymore. I did look online. I couldn't find anything. But it is a merino silk blend. It is absolutely decadent. And I am knitting this on smaller needles, I think, than the pattern calls for, because the gauge I was getting was just too crazy. So it is on size 4 US. I don't know what she calls for, but I don't think it's a 4. So that is one of my main projects. This is kind of like my at-home project. This is not something I'm going to memorize and take with me anywhere. No. Now, could I memorize it? Sure. Do I want to knit on this when I'm like stopped at a train track? No. Because I'll stop mid-row and then I'll like lose stitches. And it's my at-home knitting. Next up. This is in my other Girl Cave bag. This is going to be like the Rista show. Rista. So then today, this week I got some more yarn in the mail. And I ordered this just over a week ago. And I actually placed 2 orders pretty close together. My husband's aunt actually has been diagnosed with, I want to say breast cancer. Not 100% sure. But she just started her chemo. And they asked me if I can knit her some hats. I've never actually met this aunt. But I went and wanted to pick up, I don't have worsted weight yarn. The only worsted I have is, I have some karaoke from Southwest Trading Company, which is a little harsher of a worsted weight. And I have Red Heart Karen acrylic, which honestly I don't think is something you want next to your head if you are going through chemo. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think soft is a good thing. So I placed an order for this Spice Pumpkin. I was plotting a Highland Handmaids update. I went online thinking about yarn when I saw that she had just updated, and she said it included some of her ash worsted. So I went, oh, worsted, I need that. Let's go. And this is pretty true to color. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm very much into the semi-solids and the solids right now. And so this will make an awesome chemo hat. And shortly after I bought this, 60% merino, 40% bamboo, 300 yards. So that's where this is gonna go. And it showed up, I think Friday of this week? No, maybe Thursday. Whatever it was, I was having a lousy day and it showed up, so made my day better. And with it, also purchased the same day as the project that's in here. And this one I did start today. Because my husband said, are you gonna make those hats soon? And I said, yes. And he said, they don't take long, do they? I went, no. This also came with it. Isn't that pretty? After ordering from Heather, I went over to Unwind Yarn Company. Dana, Crafty Girl 83. And I picked up some of her Touring DK. It's 100% superwash merino in the color Goth Girl. 231 yards to 100 grams superwash merino wool. And so, picked up this, figured I'd start my hat today. I was going to knit group. And like I said, I was stopping the one shawl because I got too far. I was stopping the other because, it's a good at-home project. And I figured I need something for on the go. What better than a hat? This color, seriously, it's so pretty. This yarn is so unbelievably soft. I've heard it said before and I was kind of like, DK. Not interested. This stuff is amazing. Like, I want a sweater's worth in this color. But I can't imagine what a sweater's worth of DK would cost me. So I'm thinking either I need to lose 100 pounds or win the lottery. Losing 100 pounds is probably more feasible. But that is absolutely gorgeous. And the colors are so, I love this color. I want more of this for me. I'm kind of sad this is going away, although it's going to a great home where it will be loved. I need more of this. And I cast on a hat. Can you guess the pattern? This is a drizzle. I bought the pattern a few months ago when Silly Frou was doing her knit along because I was going to make a drizzle hat. Then the worsted weight yarn I had spun was too thick and I said, well, that won't work. Now let's be honest, I could have done the math. You could easily do it in different size yarns. It's easy to adjust. It's not a challenging pattern. I could have probably looked at it and created it and came up with it myself. But, you know, I gave Mel my $4 because I wanted to support her. So, it has a nice little rolled brim. I'm not a huge rolled brim person, but you know, it looks awesome on Mel. Maybe it'll look awesome on her. Looks really bad on me. I've tried rolled brims before, but I am knitting the medium size. I have a large head, and my head's about 25 inches, so I think the 24 will be good. And then I don't have to worry about my gauge being too loose and the hat being too big, which is something that I worry about a lot. So, and for the first part of the pattern, it's like knit 1.5 million rows of stockinette, so that is what I'm working on. This is going to be my like carry around project for now, because there's really no pattern needed for 1.5 million rows of stockinette. It'll be super easy. And so that is that. That is everything I am knitting. I know I'm forgetting something. Oh, one thing, I did win this like past 2 weeks since you have seen me. I entered my shawl from the SSK knit along into the 3 groups that were having contests that I follow the most. Girlfriends Knitting, I watch her podcast all the time. Dawn Wolf Farms, I watch hers, and then of course in the group for Desert Vista Dye Works. And I won on Girlfriends Knitting. And what I got was her pattern for crisscross cuffs, which are absolutely adorable. I may need to make a pair of these in like some non-hand spun too, but it'll be awesome for hand spun. It definitely will. And, well, with that, she sent some hand spun. Let me see. Oh, it does use worsted weight yarn. It looks thinner than worsted weight on her hand. Yeah. And she did use hand spun in the picture. And so I won hand spun yarn. I'm a spinner, I have a spinning podcast, and I won hand spun yarn. That made me really excited. And it is so squishy, y'all, like seriously. I can't remember what it is, but it is definitely a worsted weight. A little towards the bulky side. Maybe it's worsted. Maybe it's a true worsted. I don't know. I have a bad habit of spinning lace weight. As you can see, I thought I was going to have a sock weight yarn, and I ended up with lace. 3-ply lace at that. Really? I mean, so I'm excited about making these too. I don't know when I'm going to cast these on. I think I may wait till after November, after our knit along ends, and I have enough bags. I have 2 bags, 3 bags, 4 bags that are not being used right now. I can totally start some knits too. Problem is I'm almost out of knitting needles. See folks, that's what keeps me from doing it nowadays. I'm out of needles, so I can't just cast on new stuff. She has like a giant skein. I wonder how big her skein winder is, because this thing is huge. Huge, 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 huge. Speaking of skeins of yarn, I took a skein of about 400 light fingering weight, sock weight kind of yarn today. Washed it. And it was yarn that I got lazy and only tied in one place. Guess what happened? Thankfully, I was paying close enough attention, I was able to catch it before it turned into a giant disaster. But the tie came not undone, but like unwrapped in the wash. And I almost lost the entire skein. Which is why I like to tie yarn in about 8 places, because I'm paranoid. So, that's some worsted weight yarn that is going to be a pair of mittens, well, cuffs for me. They will not go anywhere if they're hand spun. Not prize hand spun. Especially hand spun that's this soft. There's got to be like Angora or alpaca or something in here. This is really soft yarn. But that is all I've got. Other news that's important, don't forget we have a knit along, spin along happening right now. If you enter a pair of hand knit socks, you get a point. I don't care what yarn, I don't care what fiber, I don't care what pattern, you get a point. If the yarn is hand spun, you get 2 points. If the yarn is hand spun that you spun during the knit along, it is 3 points. If you knit one of our magical patterns, you get a 4th entry. And there are 5 patterns listed. They are listed in the group, so you can check out what they are. A lot of the patterns posted finished socks are not the patterns listed, which is awesome. They get 1 entry. Now, if you use plain, normal, hand-dyed kind of yarn, or even like store-bought Red Heart kind of sock yarn, and you knit one of the special patterns, you get 2 points. So you can mix and match those points really any way you want. And that will end at the end of November. Like I said before, you're probably going to get some of my local fiber goodies. That is literally local to me. Can you hear the ice cream truck? It's really loud. My window's open behind me too, which is part of it. So I will let you pick the color, and I will work really hard not to spin it up beforehand. Although I may do a little 2-ply baby skeins or something, and if someone wins who, you know, wants it spun for them, we can arrange that as well. So if you're not a spinner and you win, let me know. I'll spin it up. Make it some sock yarn, or worsted weight yarn, or bulky weight yarn. We can pick. We can talk. Knowing my luck, you're gonna end up with lace weight though. So I hope you like to knit lace. Just kidding. I can spin thick yarn. But that's all I've got for you today. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to comment over in the Ravelry group. Get in touch. Like I said before, Spun Too Tight all over the internet. I'm everywhere. I am going to try to keep these episodes relatively short. I have a file size I have to worry about now with Hipcast, so if they're not short enough on my own, I have to actually make them physically smaller to be able to upload them. So we'll see how it goes. Quality may drop a little bit. If you notice a huge quality difference, please let me know. I am working with new numbers and new schemes to get it up onto Hipcast, so please resubscribe over on YouTube. If you were over there, you'll find my podcast. It's the one with no reviews, no comments, and has 1, now 2 uploads because it's basically episodes 53 and up. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back. I know I will probably lose the majority of my viewers with this switch just because they won't know where I went. But thank you to all of you who have found me again. I really, truly appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.